Okay, bitch, I quit.
Money, would you like that? On the real, I ain't know you was like that. Lost a couple in the mail, got it right back. I'm the one you ain't know it was like that.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back home to my channel, right where you guys belong. I have allergies. That's why I sound congested, but that's why I always sound congested. If you're a new viewer, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Those handles will be found down below in the description box. For today's video, as you guys could tell by the title, I'm going to be telling you guys a story about the time that I slept with my best friend. So just a disclaimer, obviously as I tell this story, I'm not encouraging anybody to fuck their best friends. I'm really sharing a story, and there really is a moral to the story. So for those of you guys that have been watching me for a while, I'm going to be talking about Christian a little bit in this video. He's not the main focus of the story, but he is going to be mentioned just because he did play a part during this time frame that I'm going to be speaking about. For those of you guys that are new, I did a whole first love Q&A. I have mentioned Christian in a couple other of my videos. If you guys are interested in checking those out, the link for that video will be found down below in the description box. But just to summarize it all up, Christian is basically like the first dude that I was in love with. This is the guy that stole my heart, broke my heart, did all that other shit. I met Christian when I was 16 years old. Again, all this is said in a first love Q&A video. During this time, I was still in high school. Christian and I were together, and he was the type of person that would always like leave me on red, and we were like really off and on. Like, he would seriously ghost me for weeks, sometimes months at a time. During this time, Christian and I weren't speaking. This was his choice. He chose not to speak to me. He chose not to respond to my messages. He just chose to stop talking to me. I mentioned in a previous video that everything was on his terms, and that literally means like when we were fucking with each other versus not fucking with each other. It had probably been about 3 months since I last heard from him. I wasn't at all interested in getting to know anybody. I didn't want to be with anybody else. I had hopes, I had dreams that Christian and I would just work things out, and things would play out the way that I thought they would, which would be marrying him, me having his kids, you know, the whole fairy tale ending. During the time that Christian ghosted me, I developed a very good friendship with a guy friend that I had. I had met this guy in middle school. Let's give him a name. We'll call him Chris. I used to have a crush on Chris. I also want to add in the fact too that in middle school and high school, of course, that's when social media started. That was when MySpace was started. My dad was so against social media. Like, he did not want me to have social media at all whatsoever. Of course, I was a little sneaky little shit. Transitioning into high school, I had lost contact with Chris. So that's how Chris and I met. We met in middle school. We lost touch for a few years. And when it was senior year and I stuck and made a Facebook, that is how I found Chris and we started talking. I don't know if Chris messaged me first. I don't know if I messaged him first. At some point, one of us messaged each other and we just started talking. Chris and I would talk like all the time. We would literally message each other every day, like more than Christian and I talked. Just endless things. We vibed and we clicked so well, like so well. I genuinely found myself starting to like Chris again. Now, obviously through our conversations, I did confide in Chris. I confided to Chris about my parents, college I wanted to go to. Yes, I even confided in him about Christian. It was around Christmas time. Both of my parents were at work. I was home alone, of course, being homeschooled and shit. My dad asked me to decorate the Christmas tree. I was so excited. Christmas is one of my favorite fucking holidays. I genuinely knew the time frame in which I would be home alone. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck came to mind, but I asked Chris, I was like, hey, what are you doing today? He said nothing. He was pretty much just chilling at home. Nothing, you know, he didn't really have shit to do. I was like, well, why don't you come over and help me decorate the Christmas tree? And without hesitation, he totally agreed. He was like, yeah, I'll be there. Within an hour, because he walked from his house to mine, Chris was at my house. So as we were putting up the Christmas tree, Chris and I vibed so well. I could literally tell him anything. I seriously considered him my best friend. He considered me his best friend too. Everything was just so mutual. Everything was just so equal. He considered my feelings and I considered his feelings. He had a level of sensitivity. I had a level of sensitivity. We just seemed to like mesh and vibe so well. And so having him in person was like fucking fantastic because, you know, all those feelings that I felt virtually, I was feeling them in that moment. After we finished decorating the Christmas tree, I asked Chris if he wanted a little tour. I didn't show him all the rooms in my house. I literally showed him the kitchen, the bathroom, in case he needed to go, my homework room. The reason why I showed him my homework room is because whenever he would ask for a selfie or whenever we would send each other selfies, I was always in my homework room. I showed him the kitchen. Cool. We went upstairs. I showed him my homework room. My homework room was the homework room / a spare bedroom. So there was a bed inside my homework room. He was looking at all my notes. He was just looking at all my assignments and stuff. And he was like kind of like chuckling to himself. So I asked him, I said, what the fuck are you laughing at? And he's like, it's just kind of cool to like see this room in person. He's like, because you're always in this room, you're always studying. I sat on the bed. When I sat on the bed, I wasn't meaning anything sexual. I just sat on the bed because he sat in my homework chair. So I wanted to sit down too. I'm lazy as fuck. I don't remember what started this conversation, but I remember him asking me about Christian and like where we stood, what we were doing, and all this other shit. I told him the truth. I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know. He can message me today. He can message me tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever message me again. Do I think he will? Probably. Will he? I don't know. I can't explain it. It was like something changed. It was like we just went into another universe. I ended up sleeping with Chris. I don't know who initiated what. I know that we were kissing and the kissing led to something else. So you guys are probably wondering if Chris and I ever got together, we ever formed a relationship, what happened after I slept with my best friend. To answer your guys' possible questions that you may have, nothing happened. That was the first and the last time that we ever slept together. We still talked. It wasn't weird. It wasn't awkward or nothing. Chris and I, we still talked. We still had our regular conversations, but Christian did come back into my life. I think Christian probably came back a couple of weeks after Chris and I slept with each other. Christian knew that I had a guy friend. He knew about Chris and everything, like he knew that he existed and stuff, so it wasn't a secret, so to speak. Christian said that he missed me and all this other bullshit, and of course my dumbass fell for it. Christian asked me if I had slept with anybody, if I had been with anybody, did I get involved with anybody. At this point in time, when Christian came back into my life, we had gone like 4.5 months without speaking to each other. I lied and I said no. At that time, I don't know why I did it, but like looking back, I probably didn't tell Christian because of the feelings that came with sleeping with Chris. I didn't want Christian to feel any type of way about Chris. With Christian knowing that, you know, obviously me and him continued our soon to be what I known to be a toxic relationship, and it was like I had forgiven him for ghosting me for 4.5 months. I kept it real with Chris. I did tell Chris that I was talking to Christian again. Chris was like, oh, okay. I probably did hurt him because, like, again, we slept with each other. Obviously, there was something between us. Here I am back to the same piece of shit that was treating me like shit. It wasn't until maybe a month and a half later, after Christian asked me if I slept with anybody else, that I did actually end up telling Christian. How I told Christian was actually on accident. I remember that we were FaceTiming and Christian was playing his video game. I accidentally let it out that I slept with Chris. Christian and I were talking about something sexual and he asked me if I've done something and I said I did do something, and then he said when, and I said, oh, when I slept with Chris and we blah 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 blah. I completely slipped. I completely had a oops. And I remember as soon as I fucking said it, I was like, fuck, he didn't know that that shit happened. Then I look at him, he like just stopped playing his video game. Wait, you slept with him? Like I said, Christian knew that Chris was my best friend. Christian knew that me and him were like hella cool. Like when I was talking to Christian, I was talking to him. Of course, I went through the whole fucking interrogation. Christian asked me when this happened, how did it happen, what happened afterwards, are we still talking? Like Christian acted like he was just this loyal dude this whole fucking time. When in reality, and I really want to stress this part, when in reality, the way that Christian was acting, you swear that he was the most loyal fucking person in this relationship. Christian would talk to bitches while he was talking to me. Christian would see other bitches while he was talking to me. Christian would fuck, have sex, screw other females while he was talking to me. But the moment that he ghosts me, the moment that he don't fuck with me for months, he don't speak to me for months, he don't have shit to do with me for months, he want to act like I cheated. I was totally being manipulated. I felt super bad. I felt bad because I lied to Christian as if he didn't fucking lie to me too. It kills me to say this because this just shows how blinded by Christian I was. I asked Christian, what would it take for you to trust me again? Of course, Christian threw that fucking line at me that he didn't fucking trust me after this because I lied and kept it a secret. Christian said that I would have to cut off Chris. In order to start to gain his forgiveness, his trust again, I would have to cut off my friendship with Chris. And that's what I did. It almost like makes me want to cry because had I would have seen manipulation and the just the toxic behavior that Christian did and had with me, I realize now that I probably missed out on a really good relationship. Whether we would have lasted until now, for all I know, and we'll never know, Chris and I could have been together for 2 years, called it quits, and we just broke up just because we grew apart. Or maybe Chris and I would still be together. Or maybe Chris and I would have just been fuck buddies. Maybe that's all Chris and I would have been, was just been fuck buddies. But I don't know. And I'll never know what I could have experienced. I can honestly say that I probably missed out on a good relationship. I don't doubt for a second that me and Chris wouldn't have like continued something. I don't think we would have ended on bad terms. To be honest, like we didn't really end on bad terms anyways, because like, yeah, I did tell Chris, I was like, hey, Christian and I are going to work things out, but I can't continue my friendship with you because he knows and all this other shit. I told him that, and like I said, Chris was hurt. He did say he was hurt. He understood. He hopes I do well and all this other stuff. Have we spoken since that time? Yes, we have. We messaged each other probably like a couple years ago just to check in, see how we were doing and shit like that. If I could go back and talk to my 17, 18-year-old self, I could redo my decision or redo anything. I would have pursued a relationship with Chris. I would have been done with Christian for that time, and I would have pursued Chris because Christian ultimately turned out to be a waste of time, and I missed out on a really good person for someone that didn't appreciate me. It was so obvious that Christian didn't appreciate me. I missed out on quite a few relationships, but I think that my relationship with Chris was probably the most meaningful one that I could have had that I missed out on. I have friends that confide in me about their relationships and about, you know, their love and everything. Like, you know, you always have like that one person. Sometimes it's your first love, sometimes it's just that person that just stole your heart. But sometimes we have this person that we're just so back and forth with, and like we're just so in love with this person, and we know that this person treats us like shit. We know that this person doesn't appreciate us because of the fact that you value the history of the relationship, everything that came within that history of that relationship. You find reasons to be okay with, you know, behaviors that you don't appreciate. And when my friends tell me about their relationships like that, I always encourage them to see other people. I always encourage them to talk to other people, to separate themselves from that person, you know, and I always encourage them to also spend time with themselves. I learned the longer that you spend time by yourself and away, not even by yourself, but just away from that person, you realize what you like and what you don't like. You realize what you want in a relationship and what you don't want in a relationship. And when you're away from that person, not speaking to that person, not communicating with that person, you get so much more clarity. But I also understand like why it's so hard to pursue that clarity at the same time, because, you know, you're just so invested in that person. You're just so into that person. Sometimes you just need to call a relationship quit. Sometimes you need to put things to rest. There's several times I should have put Christian to rest. One of the first and most regrettable times I should have left Christian in the past was when I slept with my best friend. It sucks that it took me sleeping with my best friend to realize that. And not only did I realize it, but I realized it years later. But I also hurt somebody in the process, and that's something too that I hate. I never want to hurt anybody. I never want anybody to get hurt, and unfortunately Chris was somebody that got hurt because I was so wrapped up in a toxic relationship. So that's it for today's story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys maybe took something away from it. I hope that you guys maybe learned something from me. Again, I'm not saying go out and fuck your best friend. What I am saying is that if you have somebody that clearly doesn't appreciate or accept or love you the way that you love them or the way that you cherish them, if this person doesn't understand the kind of person that you are, the kind of good person that you are, and they keep taking you for granted, just say bye. I know obviously it's easier said than done, but say bye to that person. You just need to think about how much are you willing to take? How much are you willing to go through? That other person, while they're hurting you, doesn't care that they're hurting you, because if they did, they would have changed their behaviors a long time ago. Maybe once or twice, but like when it's repetitive to the point where it was like a cycle, like I literally like Christian was literally like a washing machine cycle. When it gets to that point, say bye-bye to that person.
Guess what, bitch? Coronavirus! Coronavirus!
Fuck, these allergies are kicking my ass. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Those handles will be found down below in the description box. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Don't lose me. Said don't lose me.